got this far to see the places I hid, the darkest parts of me. But you were the only one I could see clearly. It's the way I call you when I'm on the road alone. I still need you, 'cause I feel you're still my home. And I guess the way I keep falling is all you need to know, because it's our love. Oh, it's our love. And I won't let anybody take it away from us. Won't let anybody know, 'cause it's our love. Yeah, it's our love. And I won't let anybody take it away from us. Won't let anybody know. It's our love. It's our love. Nobody understood what we could be, built from a thought we held in secrecy. Yeah, you were my whole world I couldn't see clearly. It's the way I call you when I'm on the road alone. I still need you, 'cause I feel you're still my home. And I guess the way I keep falling is all you need to know, because it's our love. Oh, it's our love. And I won't let anybody take it away from us. Won't let anybody know, 'cause it's our love. Yeah, it's our love. And I won't let anybody take it away from us. Won't let anybody know. It's our love. It's our love. It's our love. It's our love.
I know that you lie to me when I talk to you, 'cause I can see your reflection in the mirror too. I see the devil right beside your soul tonight. He will swallow your mind so slow inside. Baby, can't you see? It's time for you to leave. Get down on your knees. Get down on your knees. Baby, can't you see? It's time for you to leave. Get down on your knees. A fire in you ignites, and it starts to burn. Finally I see your eyes and teach you a lesson from life. But you can't get rid of your chains, back me to some of the rain. Now I'm slowly taking over you. Baby, can't you see?
Yo.
It's time for you to leave.
I think I figured it out.
Yay!
It was so weird. My camera was having a fun little like it was just out of focus, and no matter what I was doing, it just pretended like it was out of focus. And then when you joined the room, it all came into focus. So
Oh, perfect. So I was, yeah, perfect. All you needed was me. I'm
all
kidding.
that's exactly it. You brought some of your good luck over here. So welcome in, Raiders. I hope you guys had a. It's funny. I'm like, normally you're like, CHAISLYN, I hope you had such a great stream, but and you're like talking to them, but they're not
Right.
like right in front of you like you are right now. So I hope it was a good stream. I got to catch the beginning of it.
was.
How did the rest of like basically like listening to songs and learning them in real time and forgetting the bridge and stuff?
Oh
How does that?
my
How did that
gosh.
go?
That was, I hope to not have to use that method of like live learning very often. But for like a time crunch, it was kind of cool. Except for like if I missed one chord or anything like that, the music in my ears kept going.
So you couldn't like pause to like figure it out. You kind of had to like auditorily like skip.
Right. And so that I was like, maybe this isn't the best decision for this.
I love that. Well, I'll start off. I like starting off with some introductions and everything like that. For everybody who's just coming in here, my name is Chris. I go by Voices Chris on here and on social media in general. I do A&R professionally for a living. I've worked with artists like Paramore, A Day to Remember, Anna Clendenning, and Josie Dunn, and a bunch of others. But more importantly, I'm a huge, huge fan of the creative process and all of the people that make it, regardless of if I work with them or not. And Hell Yes is born out of that. So it's all about celebrating the creative process and every single person from writers, producers, designers, everybody involved. And on Mondays we do an A&R stream that's around released music. Wednesdays we do a unreleased demo submission thing where artists, writers, producers can submit stuff for critique, and we work together as a community to make those better. And then I get to close out the week on Fridays, getting to interview awesome people like this vocal talented human that is 19 years old, our youngest on the stream, by the way, so far. So you have that award already, from Baton Rouge, singer songwriter CHAISLYN. And at any time, if you have questions for CHAISLYN, please drop it in the chat. And I have a bunch of stuff here to talk about, but would love to be able to have you guys jump in. And Zoran, this is a interview stream, so we're gonna get to know a little bit more about CHAISLYN. I mean, you probably get to know her a lot through her streams, but I think maybe I'll ask some questions that maybe haven't been asked before, hopefully, and this can be exciting for everybody. Go, Johnny, go. I hear she's pretty good.
We'll see about that.
Yeah,
We'll see about
so
that.
we'll see. So anyways, we'll get into it right now. I was rather than reading out your bio, we're gonna read between the lines and sort of go chronologically, talk about your process and where you're going. So starting with, you're currently in Mississippi for school. And we're going to get to that too, but I want to go back to the start and try to leave music out of it if you can. I know that it started really early for you, but talk about Baton Rouge. I mean, that's a pretty like colorful place. When I think of Baton Rouge, I think of like food. I think of food with a lot of places. So can you tell us about just like the people you saw growing up, the food, the sights, everything?
Yeah, I grew up in a really small town outside of Baton Rouge, like 5 minutes away, called Central, which I actually think at the time that I lived in, it wasn't even an official city. It is now, but it was so small that it wasn't officially on the map as a city. And so growing up was very much like you went to the store and you knew everyone at the store. Like I'd be with my mom and she'd constantly stop to talk to people in the grocery store.
What was the grocery store?
Oak Point.
I've never heard of that. I grew up in
Really?
Florida with like before it was Publix, it was like Cash and Carry or something.
Oh, okay. See, and we don't have like Kroger or Publix or like any of those kind of places here. And so really small town, and really like music was kind of something that didn't come until honestly a lot later, but theater came first. And so I grew up doing a lot of community theater, and that was the people I knew. Was like I had my like church friends, I had my school friends, I had my theater friends. And that was like the circle that I lived in for most of my childhood.
That's amazing. And were any of your parents or family members like around you musical? Like, do you remember music being around the house?
Yes and no. No one in my family is a musician. My dad's side of the family specifically, no one sings. But my mom did choir in high school, and just, I mean, I think she has a beautiful voice, but she doesn't do a whole lot with it. My mom has like stage fright and doesn't really like to be in front of a camera. She's actually a photographer, so she stays behind the camera, so she doesn't have to do those kind of things, which worked out well. We make a good pairing.
Yeah, did she do any of your photo shoots and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Almost everything you see from I have 4 music videos. Four? I don't even know how many music videos I have. 2 of them were done by her and my brother, and then the other 2 were done by my friend Taylor. But all photo shoots, really, my mom has done for as long as I can remember. And it's really fun because she knows me inside and out. And so, like, she knows, like, the best angles and the best places, and it's a good team, I think we make.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess another way you could ask that question is, like, is there anybody in your family that thinks they can sing, or that you're sort of like, oh my God, don't do it. Like they're the first ones to get up for karaoke or something.
Oh, I mean, honestly, no. I have family members who would get up, but never would like be thinking like, I can do this. Like it was so funny because people do like, they're always like, oh, well, my family's been singing since I was born and I've just grown up with it. And really, that was never the case for me. My dad says I took all of his talent, and that's why he doesn't have any.
He gave it all to you.
Right, he sacrificed himself.
Because you started singing it too. So, like, I guess you didn't really leave room for people to, like, come in and sing pretty immediately. Like, do you remember the first song you learned to sing?
Oh, gosh. Honestly...
Or your earliest memory of a song, even?
Most of my earliest memories of songs were in the car with my parents. I had 2, so like I would ride to school every morning with my dad, and he had the CD with all the oldies. So we had like the Eagles, and we had Roger Miller and Kenny Rogers, and like these kind of like old classic songs. And then in my mom's car, we had K-Love, VeggieTales, and show tunes, like certain like theater songs or like Disney songs. High School Musical is the first song that she ever taught me how to harmonize, or what a harmony was she showed me the difference between what Troy sang and what Gabriella sang, and that was harmony. Yeah.
So even though she didn't sing, she like there was like an appreciation for music, it seemed like, around the house.
Yeah,
and in the car.
Absolutely. They always had music on. My mom loves music. She loves Motown and everything, and my dad loves like classic rock and 60s and 80s. And my mom did sing in choir in like high school, but never pursued it outside of that.
That's funny that you brought up Motown. So Motown is like one of like my wife's like favorite like eras of music, and I'm actually you wanting to be a songwriter. I don't know if you've read this.
I haven't.
But you absolutely should. So to this day, no one's been able to like beat the record that this trio wrote like with Motown. It's called "Come and Get These Memories." 13 number 1 hits in a row. So it's like it's pretty insane. I got to like meet them virtually, at least the 2 brothers, and their story is crazy. And like, I mean, talk about like being a creative person and royalties, like in an era where there's like who's keeping the book is like they're like hiding it in a wall somewhere. Like it's pretty insane to like think about, and also just like the pureness of the music and the writing that was happening around that time. So I guess getting back to you though, was it your idea or your parents' idea then to like get you involved in musical theater? Because that came not too long after. You were like 6.
Yeah, I did my first show when I was 6, and it was one of my mom's friends from high school actually started a local community theater with like her siblings and her mom. They bought a building that was like 5 minutes from my house. Like literally the neighborhood ended and it was like the first building outside. And so I think my mom signed me up just kind of.
Did you guys just walk there?
No, man, I would have been something. I think that's probably why I don't like walking today. Walking across campus for classes, I did it like the first 2 weeks. And now I just drive. And it's literally like a 10-minute walk.
Wasn't there a picture recently with like one of your friends decided to walk and they got caught in the rain or something?
So because of COVID, our choir rehearsal is usually an hour and 15 minutes. But right now with COVID, they want the air to clear out of the building. And so we have a 15-minute break halfway through. And one day it was storming, raining. And our choir director was like, it's not that bad. Y'all go outside. Like, just go. And we walked out and it's storming. And Sarah was like, not that bad. And she just walked right down the stairs and just stood there to prove a point, I guess. But it was hilarious.
Oh man. So that just furthered just somebody, Zoran says bicycle. I mean, that is a good option between walking and driving, I suppose.
That is true.
Probably more environmentally safe too. So, I mean,
Too. It's probably better for my health too to bike, but it's so much work.
but yeah, sorry. So did I miss like, so wait, was it your idea or your parents' idea for the musical theater thing?
Yeah, so I would say it was my mom's. At 6 years old, I don't think I really even knew what theater was at the time.
Or
I
even
think
decision making?
That too. I had done like a couple of like church Christmas musicals, and I think they knew that I loved it. And so I also say, my mom won't admit to this, but I think she just did it to get me out of the house. I was such a loud kid, and I loved being at the center of attention. So I think in her mind, it just seemed very natural to put me in that. And so I didn't know any better. I just knew mom drives me here a couple of days a week, and I sing songs and learn dances, and I'm happy.
Let her get her loudness out somewhere else, not in the house. Is that
right? Yeah. Oh, I cannot tell you the amount of times. I have two older brothers who are not musicians. They both play guitar kind of a little bit, but nothing crazy, and they don't really perform much. But I can't tell you the amount of times I've heard like, CHAISLYN, shut up, from just like across the house growing up. Like, cause we shared a hallway in our old house, and it was just a small hallway with the three of our rooms. And so if I did anything, they heard it. Yeah, I heard shut up a lot.
Oh man.
In the nicest way.
Well, thankfully you didn't, and I mean, it sounded like people couldn't have hated it that bad with vocal lessons coming a few years after that at 9. So like, I guess, what did you learn from doing that you hadn't already learned from musical theater?
Oh, so much. I'm still learning to this day, but when I first started, my mom put me in it, and I kept getting solos, like not just in theater, but at church, or at school in the school shows, or at theater in those performances. I suddenly was given the solos, and my mom was like, why? She's pitchy, and she can't hold a note, and she has no breath control, and she doesn't really, but she was like, there must be something here if people keep giving her these opportunities. And so my mom, being my mom, she always wants us to have the tools for success and the opportunity to be the best at something if we want to be. Yeah. And so she started asking around. She's like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with this child who just keeps singing? And she was pointed in the direction of my very first vocal coach, Nympha Caruso, who I studied with for almost 10 years, actually.
Which is like, and I mean, I feel like we could do an entire stream just on her and like her entire background and everything. And like, I honestly, I started kind of going down that rabbit hole like once, because I watched some interview you did, I think for like local TV. Yeah. And she was a big part of that. And I was like, holy crap. So I just made a note to like, I'm going to go like dive into this later. But I mean, definitely, like if you could just share her name in the chat just so like people could check because I couldn't catch how to spell it, spell her name. Yes. There we go. So pretty legendary person in her own right, and like an incredible teacher, it sounded like to you. So oh sorry, go ahead.
But she just, from the moment she met me, believed in me. Like, she had a full vocal studio with really no spots. And I came on like her off day because she like had all of her lesson times filled, and was like, I just want to hear her. And when she did, she was like, I'll take her. She was like, I will take her on, I think it was Saturdays. Like, she did not teach lessons, but she offered to take me. And I think having somebody with the background that she has, and the opportunities and the success that she's made, see that in me kind of made us realize like, oh, okay, there's something here that maybe we should start to like nurture and really like watch grow.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it looks, Leah's saying, oh, I'm so proud of Jay.
Aww. Thank you, Leah. Love you.
So and then we're sort of like doing the quick rapid fire thing and getting closer to the present. 16, you heard a commercial on the radio. What was that about?
Bayou Idol. It was a local singing competition in Livingston, Louisiana, which is just like 30 minutes from where I'm from. And I was on my way to a theater rehearsal, which I think is so funny because I really did a 180 turn from theater to commercial music. And it quite literally started when I was on my way to a rehearsal for a show, and I heard that. And I texted my mom in the car because my dad had driven me I didn't have my license at that point. And I was like, Mom, I was like, this thing sounds really cool. And I sent her the Facebook page and she signed me up. And I remember going, like I had opening night for a musical I was in, and I didn't get home until like almost midnight. And then I had to be up at the crack of dawn to be at that competition the next day. Like it was a full-on split from one path to the other. And yeah, that really, I think, was the turning point. I ended up winning that competition, which Lord knows how, because I had never really done anything like that. It was one of my first times to play my guitar and sing a song that was on the radio, rather than show up and sing like Rodgers and Hammerstein, you know, or some sort of classical Broadway song. And that kind of led to where I'm at now, honestly.
And I guess because it sounded like you were making that decision to make that switch before the audition had happened, or like right before that you had heard that commercial, right? Is that what you just said? Like you had made sort of the decision to make a switch, or?
No, not quite, but I think that was the instance where it first ever entered my head that that was even something that I could do. Because I just never thought that I could go, like I never thought that was my route. I had never written a song. I had never played a gig. I had never done any of that. And I just heard this, and I swear it was like such a God thing, because I don't know why I texted it to my mom. Like I just, in the moment, like I had like 5 minutes to be in rehearsal, and I just sent it to her. And I was just like, this looks cool, look into it. And had I not done that, I don't know if I'd be doing any of this.
And that's amazing. And I should mention thank you to Go Johnny Go and to Jack for hosting. Super appreciate you guys. And then, but you ended up winning the competition, which is like, you just like offhandedly were like, this thing's cool. And your mom's like, sure. And then you're like, I won. I know there was like probably more that went into it than that, but just thinking back to CHAISLYN winning that award, I know you kind of alluded to this, that you sort of had already had like a shift in focus, but like at that point, were you doing it just for fun, or like did you have a career in music in mind? And I guess what did that look like to you at that point?
At that point, it was still for fun, because at the time that I had sang that, I still had a month left of shows for, I think I was in Beauty and the Beast at the time. Just a production of that. I was in the ensemble, and I was one of the dancers. And like I still very much was just like, well, you know, this was fun, that was cool, but I'm in theater and like that's what I do. I didn't think I was gonna win either. I remember sitting, my oldest brother was there with me, and my parents and like my grandparents, and they were announcing the winners, and they had announced third place and they had announced second place. And in my like heart and in my like stomach, like, you know, like that feeling in your gut, I just remember being like, there's no way I got first, so I didn't even place. Like I just
so you were already bummed by like the time they said second place. You're like,
yes,
I'm bummed.
Completely. I was like, there's no, like when I heard them announce third place and it wasn't me, I started, my gut started to sink. Like I didn't expect to be in first. I thought surely third, maybe second. And so when I heard that first, I think it wasn't a moment of like, this is what I need to do, but I think it was the first real sign that I could do this if I wanted to. Like I think it was the first time that like I had seen somebody see value in me in that light. Like people had been like, oh, you're a great like theater singer, or like things like that. But this was just a whole different ballgame that I had never seen before.
Yeah, and you were, I mean, up until that point, you weren't always necessarily getting like the lead role and stuff either, right? And like, and a lot of people sort of hold that to like maybe the equivalent of like first place or whatever in certain viewpoints in certain circles. But you seem to find value and like be really stoked to be like with the ensemble and like learning and growing.
Absolutely.
And so was that sort of like, did all of those things sort of like, I guess, was that in your mind at all? Like, were you like, well, I don't normally get like the lead role, so maybe that's why I was getting third or second, but then you were that much more surprised when you got first? Or is that total, am I just drawing things that aren't there?
No, I get what you're saying. And I definitely, like, when it comes to theater, as a kid, and like I said, like growing up, why my mom put me in voice lessons was because I was being given these opportunities. And I think I had my first leading role at like 9 or 10. And then for a while it was like constantly like, oh, the lead, or oh, a principal. And as I was really young, that was really awesome because we were all like, oh, okay, like she's really good at this. Like she's got a future, she's got a shot. And once I started to turn into a teenager, I think a mix of things of not really learning quite yet, or not really quite finding that determination that I now have. And also just like being a teenager and being embarrassed and not knowing it was like, if it was cool to do this, I started to kind of fall out of that place where I was getting those opportunities. And I was starting to get more ensemble roles and more things that now especially I have so much appreciation for and value for. But there's kind of this stigma in the theater world of like, oh, if you're not the lead, then like you're not really that good, are you? But how are you going to do a musical without the rest of the cast? Like a musical is not one person, you know? You need those supporting people
100%.
And those ensemble members, or it's not the same and you're not going to watch the show. And so, but I think at that time, I was starting to kind of doubt myself in that arena a little bit and start to wonder like, well, am I not good enough for these things, or why am I not, you know, like I'm trying and which now, like looking back at the videos of me, I could have tried so much harder. I want to yell at 13, 14-year-old CHAISLYN and be like, what are you doing? You know, but I definitely think that there was kind of like but you know, with the foundation, I think had already cracked a little bit for me in that dream of like Broadway, and I still love it and I still would love to do some more shows, but I think that made it a little easier for me to consider commercial music more seriously.
I get that. So, and yeah, I appreciate you, like, cause I ask because I feel like that's such a healthy mindset to have early on. And like, I feel like you kind of, when we start getting into the songwriting stuff, I feel like that like mindset of like, it takes a team is only going to serve you, because there are the people who are like, it's number one, if you're not first, you're last kind of thing. And it's not, I don't feel like that's always healthy, even though sometimes it does take that kind of an ego for an artist to like move forward in that particular lane. But I mean, speaking of like your plans and your career in music and commercial stuff, you obviously are coming off of a win. We are, you know, I promised this was going to be a small part of the thing because I feel like this other stuff is so much more interesting. But was American Idol at that point like part of the plan, or was that just like another commercial that you're like, oh, maybe we should try that too?
It actually was a very, very different approach to that kind of show than I think I expected if I ever did it. I ended up getting an email. I was with my mom one day from a woman claiming to be a producer for American Idol, and I quite literally did not think it was real. I just thought it was a scam. I was like, whatever, like they're gonna ask me for money. Well, I just like, you know, because it was such like a casual, like, hey, I'm a producer for American Idol. We found your video on YouTube. Think you sound great. Would love for you to come in for like an executive, like private showcase audition. And I was like, what does that even mean? That's not real. And I ignored it for a few days. And then I think I told my mom about it and started like researching this name to see if it was a real person. And I found the verified account of that person on Instagram and messaged them, and they confirmed that it was them who reached out to me. I was like, oh, okay, like that's wait, really? This is actually American Idol? And I was 16. It was, I'm trying to think when I got that email. August of 2018. Had
you watched the show before that? I was curious because I feel like it wasn't really like, I feel like people knew what it was, but it's almost like it just didn't have maybe the viewership that it used to. So I was just curious if it was like in your mind, if it was like, oh my God, this is the dream, or if it was just like, oh, this seems like a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I knew what American Idol was because growing up singing, even when you're a singer in like theater, everyone just their first thing to tell you is like, you should go on American Idol. So like I had heard that for years of people trying to tell me that, and I always just kind of like laughed it off, like, no, not really. What am I gonna go do? Sing a Broadway song? Like they're gonna kick me out of there so fast. But I had seen episodes, like I knew who Carrie Underwood was and Kelly Clarkson, and I always enjoyed the show. But really, I had no idea how the process worked, and it had gone off the air for a little bit. It had gotten canceled and then picked up by it was on ABC. It got picked up by Fox. I might be getting my facts twisted.
It might be we're backwards. I don't know, but it was one of those.
Yeah. So basically, I was getting reached out to by the new version, and it was for like the first season on this new network. So it could have been a flop. Like, there was no guarantee that it was going to do well because picking up a new show on a new network is always like a risky thing. And so I responded to that email and worked with that producer for a little bit, picking my songs and planning the audition. And in September of that same year, 2017, it was, I went in for an audition. They sent me to the celebrity judges. I went there. I got the golden ticket. Katy Perry wasn't my biggest fan, but it's fine. No hard feelings. And then I went to Hollywood, and then I got sent home like the next day. Like, it was a very, very long but quick process.
That's wild. And I guess like with Lionel and Luke saying yes and then Katie saying no, like I guess what did you think made them fall on one side or the other about your performance? Like thinking about it now.
There's so many things I would do differently if I were to be able to do it again, or to go back, I guess, or like even if I went back now, which I don't know if I will, but oh God, I had no experience. Like I had not, other than that competition, had not played a show, had not written a song, did not know what genre I wanted to be, had never really sang anything but theater music, and which is a whole different style of singing. I also wore a dress with math equations on it, so maybe I would change that too. Like I don't
know. That's pretty cool. I mean, I guess it depends on what the math equations were.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean,
I'm not a math nerd.
Yeah, like had I been like a really smart kid, sure, but I was not like a super like smart math kid. I was the English kid, so it made no sense. I just thought it was neat.
They're like, that's great that you can sing and all, but can you solve all the equations on your outfit?
No, there's no way I could have ever.
I could see how that could be a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Katie really just felt like I was unprepared, and she was right. But Lionel and Luke saw the potential. And they saw potential. I don't know how much of that was in me, but they felt like if they could just work with me, that they could really pull something out of me. And so I think that's why.
Man, I mean that's amazing. And the last question I have about it is like, what did the experience kind of like teach you like going forward? Besides of like what you would have done differently, like what do you feel like you do now that maybe was a like product of going on that show?
All of it. I know I said that Bayou Idol opened up the like idea, or it planted the seed in my mind that like I could do this if I wanted to. Idol was the thing that solidified that this was what I wanted to do. And like I walked in there kind of expecting the same thing with the thing, and I don't know if I ever really voiced this opinion or this like thought to anyone, but that I really kind of didn't think I was going to get through. I had kind of already subjected myself to hearing no before I walked in through those doors. Like the people going in there had years and years of experience, and I was 16, wearing this stupid math dress, and like singing John Denver and Roger Miller with my guitar that I could barely play correctly. Like I just didn't think. And whenever that golden ticket was handed to me, even though she said no, it was the first like, you can do this.
It felt validated.
Yeah, for sure. And I still have so much to learn. But at the time, like, good Lord, I had so much to learn. But I remember kind of after that day, the way that it works is it's a very long process, even though like you may only be filming or something for a day or a week at a time. It's stretched out over months. And so I was told, that was October 14th. And I was told that, okay, go home. We'll see you in the end of January for Hollywood Week. And I remember my parents and I were just like, what now? What do we do now? What comes next? How do we go about this? And there was one, I don't even remember where we were or what was going on, but my dad looked at me and he was like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I just knew that it was. And I told him, yeah. And from then it was just like, no looking back, no doubting. We're just 100% going in. And I have the most supportive parents in the world who are behind me 100%,
That's amazing. And then, talking about like doing this, right? And we sort of, when we did our sound check, you kind of like put it into perspective. Cause like I was introduced to you through Twitch and seeing you like to me, I was just like, okay, aesthetically, you're thinking about how things look, you're thinking about how things sound, you're thinking about community. Like you sound like, I mean, you come off as an artist to me, but it was interesting to hear you talking about that. Like you like performing, but you like really love songs. So I wanted to first, before even going into that, knowing you as CHAISLYN on Twitch, but having music released as CHAISLYN Jane, is there a branding thing that you're just like going through right now, or is that separation intentional?
No, there is a branding confusion. This was actually a really big debate when I went on Idol. Like when I first started, we knew like that this is something that could continue, like especially if I had been aired on the show, which my audition never was aired. Fun fact: I got the golden ticket, I flew to Hollywood. Was any of it on TV? No. But had it been, it could have changed my entire life. Like, and it did, but it could have been 100 times bigger. And they were like, "What's your name?" And I just remember being like, "I don't know." Like my mom kind of always wanted me to be just CHAISLYN. And then there's also like, well, I could be CHAISLYN King, which is my last name, or I could be CHAISLYN Jane, which is my middle name. And I wanted Jane at the time. I was much more leaning towards like folk style music than I am now. But I had this like folk country twang with a little bit of pop. And so I was like, CHAISLYN Jane is just so like cute and whatever. And I liked it. And my mom wanted, so we came up with this. We were like, it would be easier to drop the Jane later than it would be to add Jane on. If that makes sense. So we started
that makes
out
total sense.
with Jane, and then the more I've like grown, because you got to think it's been almost 4 years since that first interaction with like that competition. And so a lot has changed, especially like maybe 4 years didn't seem like that big of a deal, but for me, that's start to where I am now. Like it's just a lot has changed in there. And I want to change to Jane. I think I made that decision like, it's been over a year now since I decided that, but we just didn't know how to do it.
Wait, you're changing it to just Jane?
No, oh, did I say that? No. I want to just be CHAISLYN.
Okay, that's where I got confused. I was like,
sorry.
I was like, we're just gonna change it to a different, Jane.
No, I'm not a Jane. I don't think so. But no, I would love to have it just be CHAISLYN and drop the Jane. And it's slowly getting there. Like, if the next time I think we reprint like business cards or anything like flyers or posters, it will be just CHAISLYN. My Instagram is now CHAISLYN Music. I think like
that had to have changed in like a couple weeks or something. I feel like I was like I had it actually saved in the guest thing, and I had to double check it, and thankfully I did, because it would have been the wrong one.
Gotcha. Yes. No, I did change it just a couple weeks ago. So I have like 5 Instagram accounts with all of the names I might possibly ever want to have saved. The only one I can't get is just CHAISLYN. Like some girl got it and then got locked out of her account and doesn't even use it anymore. And I'm so upset about it because I would love to have that handle. But so I had to change that one. And then there's like a 2-3 week period before you can use that username again. So I changed. So it's been like over a month since I wanted to change it. It just took time for Instagram to like process it all.
Got it.
But I'm still the only thing is Spotify. Spotify and music that I've released previously is under the name CHAISLYN Jane. And I can't quite figure out if I'm able to change that again or change it to just
Who did you use to distribute the music?
DistroKid.
You should be able to. You would have to go through, it's a support thing. You have to like email them, and it's completely possible though.
Gotcha. I would love that, because we were kind of thinking like I was going to have to start releasing it under a different artist profile. But then I was like, Shades of Pink and Dreams I Forgot About, like some of the ones that are more recent that I would love to keep would be left. Like it was just kind of we're figuring it out. But I'm CHAISLYN.
Were there other names besides CHAISLYN and CHAISLYN Jane? Like were there like pseudonyms that you were like thinking about?
Not quite. There was like, it was my last name. So I was like, if I ever wanted to be CHAISLYN King, which I don't think no offense to the family name. It's a great name, but I really think CHAISLYN is where I want to stick out.
I mean, it's a cool name. I feel like where does it come from?
My parents wanted to name their firstborn after a distant, or great someone. I don't even fully understand who it is. I never met them. And they were like, okay, well, if it's a boy, then that's perfect, because the name was Charles Asa with the nickname Chaz, which is my oldest brother's name is Chaz. And they kind of were like, well, what if we have a girl? What do we do? So they played around with that name, and they came up with like CHAISLYN. My mom's middle name is Lynn, by the way. So they came up with CHAISLYN, and thank God it's not that, because I'm just not a CHAISLYN. And they ended up like playing with pronunciation, came up with CHAISLYN. Someone threw an I in the picture. I don't know why there's an I in my name. It's just there.
It makes it like kind of more French, which like I don't know,
so.
like chaise is like it's like a chair.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a chaise lounge or whatever.
There you go.
And so they ended up having a boy first, and then they had another boy 3 years later, and then 4 years later had a girl, and they still liked that name, hadn't gotten sick of it, so they pulled out CHAISLYN and that. And then my middle name is my grandma's middle name.
Oh,
Jane.
that's. I mean, again, it's a cool name, so I don't blame you for wanting to keep it. So I guess a question that I have is regarding your preference for like songwriting over performing. I guess what is it like? What do you like about both of those things? And I guess what is it about performing that makes you like songwriting more, or the other way around? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely always tell people, and I would love, like, end goal for me, at least at this moment, and what I think is capable for myself, is I would love to get a publishing deal with a record label in Nashville, write songs, sell them to other artists. And I say that I don't want to be a performer, and that's not entirely true. I love music. I love singing. I love the way that singing a song makes me feel, and the way that I can connect to it in a way that like nothing else gives me that experience. And I get this, like, I'm not a high from being on stage, but it's this whole different world, and it's a whole different me. And I love connecting with people that way. Like, all of those things make me love performing. But the reason I shy away from it is like I can think of two main things. And one is just the fact of like marketability. Obviously, like we just talked about marketing with a name, so it's a little confusing, right? If I have CHAISLYN Jane, but I also have CHAISLYN. It's a little bit like, okay, are these two different people? Who are we marketing? How do we label things? What do we do? As a songwriter and somebody who loves all genres of music, I can't think of like one genre I don't like. I like to write all kinds of things. I've written country songs, I've written folk songs, I've written more soulful songs, I've written more really bubblegum pop songs. I've written worship songs. I've tried to write theater songs. That didn't really happen. That one didn't end well. But maybe one day, like I want to have the ability to do everything. It's something my mom told me growing up was be a chameleon. She was like, do it all and be good at it all. Like if you're going to wear clothes, she's like, don't just box yourself into one style. She's like, wear it all, look good in it all. And because I think she never wanted me to be confined to just one thing. And I love that. I love that I can switch between singing different genres. And in this day and age of, and you might know more about this than I do, but in marketing and in trying to figure out who's your target audience and who are you promoting this to, it gets really hard when maybe one song I release is pop, but another one maybe leans a little more country or things like that. So I would have to really not box myself in. Like some people do it perfectly. Like some people have a genre, they stick to it and they're happy and it works. And I love that being a songwriter, I can do it all. And then I just let other people do them in their genres.
And you don't necessarily not everything you write maybe is meant for you to sing, or like you kind of have that desire for other people to sing some of the songs that you write? Oh,
absolutely. That is, like, I want to get a publishing deal because I can sell them, but that's the one thing that I've been trying to figure out for years and no one really has an answer, is how do I do that? Because being a musician is a lot more self-explanatory in terms of post things on the internet, hope it blows up, sing at shows, record labels, American Idol, The Voice. Like there's a lot more very self-explanatory ways to get yourself out there as a performer. But as a songwriter, it's a lot harder to figure out that way, like how to navigate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the marketing is different, right? You're essentially marketing yourself business to business versus like business to consumer, right? Like as an artist, right. The goal is like, okay, you're trying to get people to listen to the music. And like as a songwriter, that's part of it. But if you place it with the right artists, that part happens. So it's like
magic,
you're
yeah.
convincing, like for songwriting, you're not selling yourself to fans, you're selling yourself to artists and other like and companies like publishing companies and people who do A&R to like help you navigate that. So it's like looking at your songs and being like, oh, you would be really great with you'd be really great with specifically like Donna Missile, or you would be great with like so and so, you know. So it's just and maybe not pairing you up with other artists, but being like, wow, your lyrics are amazing, like let's pair you with this melody person or like this producer. And what's funny is a lot of our stream is actually about that kind of stuff. So you should definitely come by, because
I'd love to.
I don't want to like completely take over the stream by like explaining and talking about publishing, but I'm a huge fan of that world. And if I like, for what I lack in the singing and songwriting department, like that's definitely my world that I understand. But and I know that you just got off stream and we're talking about songwriting, and before we get into the process, I do want people to like hear how cool your voice is, and I didn't know if you were still down to potentially either do that song you were working on that you were looping, or I think it'd be cool if some of the people here got to hear. I guess some of your fans are here and they'll get an encore, and some of the people that might be discovering you for the first time on here or on YouTube are going to get a first listen.
Right. Yeah, for sure. It's called...
What is the song? Sorry.
No, you're good. It's called Shades of Pink. It just came out February 11th, and it is a not happy Valentine song, but it sounds very happy, because why would you want to listen to something that sounds sad? You know?
I like the juxtaposition.
Oh, absolutely. And so, yeah, I just looped it on our stream just like a second ago. We'll see how it goes.
Yes, we're getting...
And if it doesn't go well, it's on all streaming platforms, and there's also a music video. So you should go stream it.
It's amazing.
maybe
I'll drop a link. I guess do you have a link tree on your Instagram, or is it like, or should I mean I can quickly send people to Spotify if that's okay.
Yeah, Spotify would work fine. I know that there's a link like that has all of the different platforms on it, but I literally could not tell you what it is right now.
All good.
Which is my fault. But yeah, maybe I should mess up the song so that I can be like, well, now you have to go listen to it.
There you go.
I'm not gonna mess it
up. Oh, there you go. I think is Lori your mom?
Yeah. Hi, mom.
Hi, Mama King. So there you go. You guys, there's an even better link. Lori King dropped a better link. Don't disregard my Spotify one.
I could have told you that. I don't think that's what I thought it was. That's so simple. See, and look, that's CHAISLYNJane.com.
Yeah, there you go. So you got to change that too.
Yeah, just a couple of things.
Fun little things. But Chanel, so this is actually an interview stream on Friday. We do submissions on Mondays and Wednesdays. You should definitely join our Discord if you're interested in just like learning about the music industry, submitting music, and just like meeting other people that make music and collaborating. Please join that. But yeah, right now, this is all about CHAISLYN and learning about her and her music, and we're about to hear her actually play a song that she just released called Shades of Pink, which it's kind of crazy that like the color, I alternate colors in a particular order every week, and it landed on pink. I promise that wasn't on purpose.
Oh, it's fate. That's all it was.
I kind of wish that it was on purpose, though, because then I would seem like so smart, but it wasn't.
Oh, just take the credit. No one knows. I wouldn't have known. I'd have been like, wow, he chose pink. Good choice. You could have fooled me. But yeah, this is Shades of Pink, and it goes like this. If I see one more couple who've been shot by Cupid's arrow, I might go psycho. And cheesy cards and heart-shaped candy, overpriced, he said, and so he never bought me any. And now it's been a couple months
and we haven't spoken once, but I wonder why you're buying this stuff for her from the shop around the corner. A teddy bear and box of chocolates. I have to admit it hurts a little bit. And if I asked you, would you tell me? I wish you missed me in February like I miss you. 'Cause all these shades of pink, they've got me blue, blue, ooh. Blue, blue, ooh. And now I'm not one to get particularly jealous, but can I say that this sucks? You're spending your whole paycheck for her, but for me, could you spare a few bucks? And now it's been a couple months. I know I shouldn't give a, but I wonder, why the hell do I wonder why you're buying this stuff for her from the shop around the corner? A teddy bear and box of chocolates. I have to admit it hurts a little bit. And if I asked you, would you tell me? I wish you missed me in February like I miss you. Hey, 'cause all these shades of pink, they've got me blue, blue, ooh. Blue, blue, ooh. Yeah, roses might be red, but I'm blue. Roses might be red, but I'm blue. Watching you be happy with someone new. Yeah, roses might be red, but I'm blue. Roses might be red, but I'm blue on Valentine's Day without you. La da. So why you buying this stuff for her from the shop around the corner? A teddy bear and box of chocolates. I have to admit it hurts a little bit. And if I asked you, would you tell me? I wish you missed me in February like I miss you. 'Cause all these shades of pink, they've got me blue, blue, ooh. Blue, oh. Yeah, roses might be red, but I'm blue on Valentine's Day without you.
Is it weird hearing clapping after you're done singing? Like,
Yes. And not seeing an emote in chat.
I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing this. Every clap you put in the chat, I will clap for you. That's really what this is about. I'm just like trying to like be the emote for everybody. There you go. Go, Johnny, go.
Thank you guys for the nice comments. I see you. I appreciate you.
Not only are you the youngest person so far that's been on the stream, but that was also the first like live performance that we've done on the stream.
I'm honored.
Which I would love to do more of. I just like, for some reason, I was just like, oh wait, that could be a thing. And then that's when I was like, would you want to sing on the thing? Because it was like about the interview, but you're like, sure. I was like, I mean, you just sang for 3 hours. Like, is that something you like are cool? You're like, 3 hours. What's one more time? I'm sure.
What's one more song? That's fine.
So, I mean, with that song in particular, I mean, can you talk about the? Sorry, I got sidetracked on my notes, of course. So the show being all about the creative process and the people that are part of it, like how do the songs, like, and maybe you could use this song as an example, like how do they start for you, and like who is currently a part of that process? Like, is it all just you right now, or like how does it work?
So it's definitely different every time. I've written a little over 50 songs at this point. And I wrote my first song when I was 16. It was March of 2018. So we're in 2021. We're almost at March. So it's been almost 3 years. Yeah. yeah, sure, 3 years since I wrote my first song. So a little over 50. I don't know if that's good or bad. To me, that I'm proud of it and I'm excited. But it's different. I think I've co-written maybe 5 songs out of all of those. So it is a lot of me by myself in my room. And math sucks. I know. I'm like, I wore a math dress and I couldn't do simple addition. Like don't trust me on anything like that. But no, this song actually in particular is a little bit different than most of the songs that I've written in the ways that I've done it. I had this idea at the end of December of like last year, like December 2020, to do a music video. I was like, how cute would it be to do like a Valentine's Day themed music video? This is the end of December. I had not written a song. I had not, like, nothing. And I presented it to my mom, and she's like, yeah, that'd be cool. Could you write a song that fast? And I was like, well, I mean, like, yeah, but, like, I haven't even, like, I don't even have an idea for it. Like, what would it be about? Obviously, like, I had this, I think it started because I had an idea of someone, like, ripping apart teddy bears and, like, cutting off the heads of roses and just, like, no one likes Valentine's Day, right? So I was like, okay, well, let me write this song. I wrote the song like starting end of December, I mean like the very last days of December, finished it on January 3rd. We had reached out to the person we record with back home. They had a slot on January 4th. So I recorded it January 4th. And then for a week, I shopped and reached out to my friend who did the music video, Taylor, in her apartment. I was like, do you want to do another one? And she was like, yeah, for sure. When? I was like, soon. We filmed it on the 10th. And then I left on the 16th to move back up to school.
That's so like, that's a pretty, so how long is that? A 2-week?
Yeah, basically a 2-week turnaround to have filmed everything. And then for the month that we had left, she edited everything. She sent me the pictures because I had to submit it to DistroKid. Yeah, to get it on platforms in time for when I wanted to release it. And it was crazy. And it's so funny because like the song, usually a song comes first, but I had a video idea and was like, well, let me write a song that goes with that. But like I've never experienced that before. I've never had a boyfriend, so much less have I had somebody on Valentine's Day to like not buy me things. Like, I mean, I've never had anyone to possibly buy me things.
So is that just your idea of like what it would be like if there was somebody who like ruined your Valentine's Day for you? Or like what,
yeah.
I guess like you had the visual. So was it literally just about ripping the teddy bear heads and then that feeling, I guess, and talking about that feeling?
Yeah, because I basically was like, what song could I use or what could I write about? Like, what's the narrative that makes a girl want to do that? I was like, I mean, I want to do that regardless because it just looks fun. But I was like, what kind of like relationship trauma would put her in this world? And so I went through like heartbreaks and everything, but she just ended up being sad in those scenarios. This is a character. Like the girl singing this is someone else. It's not me. And so I was like, what
it's CHAISLYN.
Oh God, it's CHAISLYN. It's CHAISLYN. And so I was like, I guess like I could imagine if you were with a guy and he was just like, no, it's overrated and I don't like it and blah, blah, blah. And then you see him with someone else and he's suddenly doing those things. You know, and I think people have been in that situation where a guy won't do things for you and then you see him move on with someone else and he's doing all the things that he wouldn't do. And it's like, clearly if he loved you, he would have because he's doing them now. And so I kind of put her in the scenario of it's Valentine's Day and she's seeing pictures on her phone of all these people and she sees him with this girl and it's her holding like a teddy bear and flowers and chocolates that he bought her. And she's like, okay, we're doing this now. And she's just, you know, not having it. She's not cool with it. So that was definitely a weird way to write a song for me. Because usually mine are either from personal experience or like an idea that I have, not just like a video thing. So
I mean, and do you think that just comes from like you're still relatively new to writing and so like you're still discovering other ways that you write? Is that maybe what it is? Or do you feel like you'll end up probably doing that again at some point? Or
I think it'd be fun if I had a cool video idea, sure. I love visuals and having a mom and a brother who both are videographers, I definitely like have a bit of that in me, not near as much as I have, but enough to like, I do think about like the visuals and what things would look like if you're writing a song. I think the best kind of songs are the ones that you can see. You know, you hear it and you see something. So this was just the reverse of that. I saw something and then I was like, well, what would that sound like? But I love writing songs different each time. I have written songs going into it with a melody line. Actually, for this song, what had happened, I just got this loop machine in December, and I had started playing these chords. I mean, the whole song is C major 7, A minor, G, and F. And so I just picked a random tempo and let it start looping, and I just was doing this. And then I hit stop, and so it just looped that. For like 45 minutes, I sat there and just freestyled over it and started playing with melodies. And I came up with that first lyric. Well, and I also had like Shades of Pink Got Me Blue. But I sat there and I was like, if I see one more couple who's been shot by Cupid's arrow, I might go psycho. And I was like, all right, that's how we feel, and that's the song. It's a Boss RC505 loop station. And I love it. It's so much fun. But so like that one started with the instrument, and other ones have started with the title. I have a song called Thermostat, because one night at 3 a.m. I woke up, I was cold, and I changed the thermostat, and walking back to my room, I said, what kind of song would be called Thermostat? So I wrote this whole story about a couple who's arguing about it being cold at night, and she's freezing, she's under 3 blankets, he's yelling, they're waking up, it's 3 a.m., but then at the end, she's like, the problem is, that's not what we're fighting about. We're fighting about something that's not important, because really there's a deeper issue. And like, it's a, so that started with that. Other ones have started with a chorus or, just random different things. And I don't think I could ever box, like, again, like I talked about, I don't like to box myself in. I don't think I could ever box myself into, I only write this way, or I always start with this, because I've written so many cool songs and they've all been written different ways.
That's amazing. And are there like songs, because you mentioned liking like some of the best songs in your opinion have this visual, like you can see them, like is there, when I say like what song first comes to mind for you when you're thinking about that, when it's not a song that you wrote, like what's the first song that you kind of see, whether it has a video or not?
I'm trying to think. I've never thought about that before. But I will say that I think Carole King is an artist who really does that. Carole King is my favorite artist in the world. I think she is brilliant. And I think a lot of her songs, even if you don't see a specific like color, or you don't see like this, you can see where it's happening. You can see the emotions in it. You see the story. I also think my favorite song in the world is American Pie. And do you know, like, the amount of imagery and the amount of metaphors and details in that song is just, they almost don't leave anything to the imagination, but they still do. Like, it's like a good book. They give you enough to lead you, but they also leave room for you to interpret it how you need to.
That's awesome. I mean, it's interesting choices that you would go like further back and pull those versus like, which I think says a lot about the songwriting that's in there, right? Because everything now kind of comes with a video, and sometimes they almost like don't match. Like, it's almost like that's not what I would have seen the song doing. It almost like kind of does a disservice.
There's a song, I just started singing it on my stream, but You Should Be Sad by Halsey. And it's this song, I don't even listen to a whole lot of Halsey, but this song piqued my interest, and it's about like just somebody who is very selfish and they're not great in a relationship. It's this heartbreaking, like she is telling him off. And the music video is like her and people, and she's riding a horse wearing like a cowgirl outfit. It's not a country song. And they're all just like dancing, and it's very sensual. And the song is like, you broke my heart, I'm upset. And then the video has nothing to do with the song. And I still don't understand it. I mean, it looks fun. It looks like a good video, but it's like, what? I don't understand what we're doing. But I do like the song a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because you would think like, oh, okay, like if a visual comes together, then it must be a good idea or whatever. But I guess it's one of those, like, just because you can doesn't always mean you should or something. Like, just because you can put a video to it, like if it's not the right one or whatever.
Which,
but
like, I saw a couple arguing, and I saw like, maybe her watching through the window and like remembering this relationship she was in. And then I went to watch the video and I was like, oh, different visions. We were on different brain lengths.
And that's where I feel like things like TikTok and stuff can be super successful, because it's like almost like everybody's interpretation of stuff, whether it's like silly or heartfelt. It's pretty incredible, like the imagery that can be put to something in such a short amount of time. So I mean, a lot of the songs that you mentioned, like were either like co-written or like they were known for like getting pitched outside songs or anything like that? I mean, like what role does co-writing, like the co-writing process play like in your current process, or like what role do you see it playing in the future?
I love co-writing. I think whenever you are with the right person and you find somebody that you really mesh with, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful kind of thing. Right now, being in school and not being around a lot of other people who are doing the same kind of thing as I am, it's a lot harder to co-write. People do it on Zype. That was Zoom and Skype.
Zoom and
fine.
Skype's baby. Zype.
Yes, Zype. And I've done a couple of online sessions and I love them, but I do write pretty well on my own. I like co-writing because it gives you ideas that you wouldn't have thought of on your own, but I am able to write songs by myself, and so I haven't been necessarily like looking for co-writes, but can't wait to get back up to Nashville and write with some of my friends and kind of make those things. I also love co-writes that are more spontaneous than like, hey, what are you doing this day? Do you want to sit down and write a song? Which like those are really good too, and I've written great songs that way. But I think it's also really fun when you're just hanging out and you pull out a guitar and then suddenly there's a song, and or somebody says something and you're like, wait, we should write that. Like right now, sure, let's go. Those kind of just really natural, they just happen kind of things.
Man, that's awesome. And I mean, have you already identified what you feel like your strengths are, like when you are co-writing? Like, when you are writing with somebody, do you appreciate it more when they're like bringing a great melody or a great lyric or concept, or like what do you feel like you usually end up doing in a co-write, and what do they end up doing?
Yeah, I think I've had a couple of different experiences. I like to try and like show up with at least like an idea or two that I've maybe packed away like in a suitcase in the attic, like something that I was just like, well, I thought this was a cool line, but I never really could do much with it, because I love having someone else's like perspective on that. I did that with a song I wrote called Freeze, with my friend Liam Slater, and I walked in and I was like, I had this idea of a girl putting on a guy's jacket that she's seeing and smelling another girl's perfume on it. And like, but I was like, I don't know how to elaborate that or how to like make that a full-fledged song. And so having him there, we were able to kind of and the story changed a little bit. It did. And I love where it's at now. I sing it on my stream. If you ever want to hear Freeze, it's on there. But I definitely do know that I am much more of a lyricist. My melodies are getting stronger and I'm learning more about it, especially being in theory now in college. But when I first started, I barely knew anything about like an instrument or creating or crafting a melody line. And so I'd be like, here are some pretty words. What would I do with them? I don't know.
And sort of just singing what probably works with your voice in a sense.
Right. And so just singing, usually like it was whatever came out. And I just stuck with it. Like I wasn't like, oh, but I want this to sound a little more melancholy, so maybe I should go to a minor. Like that was never a thought. It was just like, this chord, what would sound good? I would literally sit with my guitar, put the capo on a random capo, and then I'd be like, okay, here's a C. What if I played a G? C? And I'd be like, oh, I don't like that. What about E minor? And I'd be like, oh, that's pretty. Like I literally just whatever sounded nice to me worked. There was no more thought behind it than that. Now it's a little bit different, and I'm playing with it more, but.
That's awesome. And I mean, speaking of just like the writing process and everything, I'd heard some religious references in some of the songs, like, but I guess would you consider your strength in music or the stuff you like? I know you don't want to be in a box, but like, would you consider your music to be religious, or is that just like one part of you and your life?
Yeah, I would definitely say that my faith is one of the most important things in the world to me, and it always will be. But as far as writing music, a lot of my songs, this morning I was talking to the pastor at the on-campus ministry I go to here at school about this literally like 2 days ago. But that my songs, I don't ever want anyone to feel like I'm pushing anything onto them, but just whatever I write will abide by like what I believe. So like I may not write about something that I don't agree with, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not writing about this because of Jesus, if you know what I mean. Like it'll always be about things that I agree with.
Yeah, I'm curious just because like I live in Nashville and I see a lot of the like ways that whether it's the Christian music industry or everything like that, there's like this clear divide between like secular and non-secular music, like worship music and not or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there's sort of like this It's like I worked on. Do you know a band called Need to Breathe?
I do.
So
I do.
Bear, the singer, called me out of the blue and was like, well, he called the guy that I work with, and we both were like talking, and basically, the long story short, he was like, how much Christian music do you listen to? I was like, none at all, really. Like, I know some, like, you know, how he like some worship stuff and what,
Right.
but I don't really listen to it. He's like, how much do you know about my band? I was like, not a lot. I know that you're a good singer. He's like, great. I want you to work on my album. And so we did a project called Wilder Woods, which was like about that, but there was backlash on the fact that, like, in the song, you listen to the songs, they're him, his beliefs are in there, but they weren't like, what do you call it? It wasn't this like crazy switch. Like, he wasn't suddenly talking about like anti-religion and anti-need to breathe.
Yeah.
So, but he struggled with that a little bit. So I just wondered if, like, I mean, do you notice anything like that from fans? I feel like younger fans are better about like not putting the artists they work with in a box, but also communities tend to, you know, be okay with certain things and not okay with others. So I just didn't know if that ever became like an issue on either side.
Yeah. No, I think one of the best examples I have is my song Carol, which a lot of people listen to. So that song, for me personally, I based it off of a scripture that I love, which is, let your light so shine before men, so that they can see your Father in heaven. And I really wanted to show this mindset of just that I believe that everyone is beautifully and perfectly made, and I don't think that anyone needs to change to fit any kind of like societal norm or anything like that. I think that our uniqueness and our differences are what make us beautiful, and that we all have a light inside of us that should shine. And so in this song, which I wrote for the kids that I work with, actually, I used to work as a birthday party princess, it has that idea and that thing that means a lot to me without saying, this is what the Bible says, you know? And so like what I believe and what's important to me will always be reflected in my songs, even if it's not a worship song. And so I think that's kind of like he did in that, like, it was obviously still like his beliefs were in the music without being outright stated. And I've talked about this a lot as somebody who grew up in church and grew up singing on the worship team. And it's a big part of my life. And I've asked a couple people, and I was like, you know, like some people who aren't believers or they don't believe, I'll be like, you don't listen to worship music, do you? And they're like, no. They were like, well, why would somebody who doesn't believe put on a worship album? But like, for me, if somebody ever wants to talk to me about it, I want them to hear my heart in a way that doesn't feel like I'm pushing them. Like, I want people to feel very comfortable to have those conversations with me without feeling like I just won't listen to them. And I feel like music can really put you in a box if you get too, you know, I've written some worship songs and I will write more worship songs, but I like being able to write, again, I don't want to be put in a box.
Yeah.
You know, something that's that important to me will carry out throughout all of my music.
Totally.
Even if it's not in an obvious way.
I think super well said. And some clearly, like, you've thought about it before and had the conversation. So I think that's super cool. And you now going to college and being surrounded by a bunch of people who are trying to figure out who they are too. Like, I think that a lot of people will appreciate that sort of mentality going into it, and like loving that you're being authentically yourself. So, I mean, speaking of being authentically yourself and having success doing it, I do want to talk about Twitch. I think that we should, because we're on it right now. Whoa.
No, we are.
Like breaking the fourth wall. You started streaming in July, and then you hit affiliate in a week. And then you passed 1,000 followers in like a month, which like anyone who's tried streaming should know. And if you haven't tried, you should just know that that's impressive. And like, I guess what gave you the idea that you should start streaming on Twitch in the first place?
My mom.
Oh.
Mommy.
Lori's full of all the great ideas.
She really is. I credit my mom with so much. She had just kind of like found it, and I think she'd heard about it. Obviously, when COVID hit, live streaming was like the thing. Like, everyone kind of knew, like, you can't do this in person anymore. You've got to find a way to keep going. And so we were doing live on Facebook for a while, and we weren't really finding any success with it because most of the people who were following my Facebook page were family and friends. And as much as I love family and friends so much because they do support me and believe in me, they come because they're my family and my friend a lot of times. Or, you know, it's a different audience than people who come because they like your music. Like people who don't know anything about you, but they just said that this song touched me in a way that like I've never felt before. And so we kind of were just like looking for things and just thinking about it. And I had been going live on TikTok. I'd been playing on that and Instagram. And my mom was like, there's this thing called Twitch, and I think you should look into it. And I remember being like, I don't play video games, so why?
I feel like that's the first thing that anybody says.
Oh, the first thing I get asked when people find out I stream is like, you game? I'm like, no, like there's more on Twitch than just gaming, which gaming is fun too. I would love to game. I talk about it on my stream quite often. I want to game sometime. I think it'd be really fun. I'd be really horrible.
We should do an Among Us stream, like just amongst a bunch of like maybe like bring some of your community. I'll bring some of mine, and then we'll do. I'm horrible at it too.
I'm so bad.
We had our friend Cyclode, who I don't think is in the chat right now because he lives in the Netherlands. But he usually joins our streams, and he holds the award for like stays up till like 4 or 5 a.m. to like watch the streams, which I'm so thankful for.
Aww.
But like he is terrifying at that game. It's like really good to the point where we all had to go. We had to come up with like a version of the game where we had to go against him because he was like that good and scary. Like, and he has this like voice that like goes with it that I'm like terrified of.
That's so funny. No, I remember one time I got caught in a lie and somebody asked me, they're like, well, where were you? And I had no idea like what to say. And I was just like, there was no coming back from it. Like there was no way to prove that it wasn't me, and it was me. And I was like, that's it. No more. I can't do this.
That's me even when it's not me. Like even when I'm not the imposter, I don't remember where I was. I'm like, there was a button and I was frustrated with this thing.
They all remember like what task they're doing at what moment and in what order they did it and in what room each task. And I'm like, I was over there somewhere. Like, I couldn't tell you. But no, it's very fun.
No, that's yeah, I guess sorry, go back to Twitch.
Yeah, no, you're good. She showed it to me, and I made an account. I think my account, it says whenever I created my account or something, but in like for a week we just kind of looked at it, and she was so sold that this was the place for me. And I started watching her and I was like, yeah, it looks kind of cool. Like, I mean, I don't really know, like I've never really done like streaming like this before, but what's the harm, you know, why not? And so she ordered a mixer. Through like, we always save the money I make from performing to spend on performing. So like whatever I make from a gig goes into
reinvesting.
Right. It's all a reinvestment. And so we use some of that money to get a mixer and set it up like without any idea what to do. I had a laptop and we had like an old webcam sitting around, and I just hooked up my keyboard and my guitar, and we said, well, all right, sure. We didn't tell anyone we were doing it. I made an account. I don't even know if I had any of like the about things yet, or like I had no commands. I didn't know what a mod was. Nothing. Like I had no clue what was going on. And we just went live. Like just hit go live. And I was like,
did you have the background and everything yet? Or was that just like?
Not like we had like set up like a vibey little background in a spare room back home. And so it was like a couple like fake candles. My mannequin head, which you can see back there, was in it as well. Florina is a big part of my streams. Her wig is something right now, but maybe we should change that up. But yeah, it was kind of just like I had an Audrey Hepburn poster and different things, and I did not tell anyone. I did not post on any of my social medias. I had no followers. I was just like, I'm gonna go live, and I went live. My parents watched from the other room, and I was live for a couple hours. I think I was live for like 2-3 hours. I don't know. And met some really cool people. Like people just jumped in for no reason. I don't know why they clicked on my stream, but I'm glad they did. And I got my very first raid, which is Kendra. I still love Kendra. We still raid each other to this day. I think she has a beautiful voice. And that was kind of crazy. That brought a group of people to me. And then we just kind of like built it from there. It was very much a trial and error. It was a lot of research. And my mom is so good at research and understanding technical things that I and so she still does to this day. She puts so much time and effort into my streams. I wish people knew just how much my mom really does help me. And I appreciate her so much because my stream would not be what it is without her. But I just met some really awesome people here and fell into a really great community of people who support each other and and love each other. And I've met some of literally the kindest people in the world from Twitch. It's also taught me a lot about myself. And just, I think whenever you sit in front of a computer for 4-5 hours at a time, multiple times a week, you kind of have to, because there's no one in here to talk. Like, it's me. Like, I'm talking to a chat, and I do believe that I am talking to you guys, but I have to keep the conversation going, and I learn about like my sense of humor and like who I am. So I feel like I've also become much more real in my interactions outside of Twitch, if that makes sense. Like, there's no like, you know how some people change with each friend group? Like, you have the version of you you'll be at church, or the version at school, or the version at work, or things like that. And now I'm just like me. I'm me here. I'm me there. I'm CHAISLYN. And I'm simply CHAISLYN. Sometimes I'm CHAISLYN Jane, but that's a different story. And so also my voice. If you listen to me singing before I started Twitch versus now, is so different. I know what genre I like to sing, or what kind of style of singing I like more. I know my voice inside and out, and I didn't know that before because I'd only sing a song or two at a time.
So like you kind of like learned about it as you were like you basically were there ever songs that you would sing and you're just like, I'm taking that out of the list?
That now I can do, yeah. Like, there are songs that I used to sing and like didn't like, and now I bring them back and I can do them. And I fully think that was because of like my parents can attest to it, but the amount that I've grown since streaming in my personal life and in my performing is so crazy in just 8 months.
I mean, it's super impressive. I like have a ton of fun whenever whenever either we're rating your stream or I get a chance to come in and listen. Cause like, it's not only, I feel like that's the big thing that I try to tell other artists, and we'll get to that point, that it's like, it's more than just like about the singing, right? It's that personality thing. And it's like that experience of like watching people grow. And I feel like, people like in the audience right now can attest to it. Klutz, you do exist. You do exist, Klutz. 100% exist. And then Zoran's asking, what do your sisters think about your streaming? Which I feel like that's like an inside thing that I might not be aware of.
No, I'm in a sorority. So I'm in Chi Omega. And so I have all my sisters, which is who I'm going to be with tomorrow. I'm not streaming tomorrow. We have 9 new girls that are being like officially made into Chios, or not officially, they're not initiated yet, but they're running home. It's their first day to like be a Chi Omega. And so I'm gonna be there tomorrow. But they actually think I found such an awesome support system in that. I did not think I would be in a sorority when I came to college, and I did it because my dad really wanted me to, and my cousins had done it. And they're so cool. I did a fundraiser for our philanthropy for Make-A-Wish, and we raised over $1,000. Which was really cool. And I think that was the first time that really any of them even knew that I streamed. When I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be doing like a fundraiser for Make-A-Wish. And they were like, oh, okay, that's cool. And they're like, wait, that's really cool. How'd you know? Like, and they do, my chat knows, they'll pop in, somebody will be like, oh, hey, like it's Allison, or my big Kragan will come in, and I'm like, oh, that's like a Chi Omega. And everyone knows. But everyone here at school has been very supportive.
That's awesome. I mean, because sometimes I feel like it can go the other way. So I think that's really cool. And I mean, speaking of your community and just how conversational like your stream is, what is it in your opinion that like makes people sort of join in and like keep coming back?
Well, first of all, like,
is it the wig behind you?
Is it the wig behind me? No. No. I think Florina scares them a little bit, but she's doing her best. She's trying. No, I think it's my community and my mods. Really more than it is me. I fully credit them. I have the best community. I know it's biased, but still. And people, that's the one thing that I say whenever new people join our stream. One of the first things they always say is like, wow, you guys are so nice. And I'll be like in the middle of singing a song, and I haven't even gotten to say hi to that person yet. And they've already made the statement like, wow, this is so welcoming. This is so nice. And I don't, this is not Chick-fil-A. Like, I'm not telling my mods like, hey, say,
my pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure. Like, I don't ask them to do that. That's just the kind of people that they are. And so people come in and 5, 6, 7 people are like, hey, and they all tag that person. They're like, whoa, like I didn't know. My friends from back home have come on and the chat just floods with people and they're like, Haley, hi. And she texted me, she was like, they were all saying hi to me. She was like, what? And I was like, they wanted to say hi to you. Like they're just those kind of people. And I think that there's something about Twitch is interactive. No one wants to sit and watch. If they wanted that, they'd watch a movie. Or they'd go to YouTube, or they'd go somewhere where they didn't, but they come here, I think, for that community and for that interaction. And
somebody
and
said that it's spontaneous too.
It is spontaneous. Like there's no retaking, and so they hear me mess up all the time, so much, so much. Like I'm sorry, guys.
And they probably enjoy that almost maybe more than just the complete perfect takes every time.
Right. You get to learn a lot about a person by their mistakes, and so I do think that is why it's Give It in Spades so much love. I know. I love
Chasers is the name of the community.
Yeah, I did not come up with that. That was not me. But yes,
I like it. So some people that are on here, like even though they watch like streams on Twitch, if they watch enough, they're familiar with like who mods are in the chat. But like for anybody who might be watching this YouTube video after the fact, or this might be their first time on Twitch and they don't know like what a mod does, could you sort of just explain what a mod does in a stream?
Yeah,
or if Hat Horn Party would like to start like throwing some stuff down.
Hat is one of my mods. Klutz is one of my mods. They're hanging out with us today. But so mods, or mod is short for moderator, and they are the people who make sure that everything goes smoothly, so that all I have to focus on is playing music and is like having a good time. And it doesn't happen too often, but there are people who like to troll, or people who like to come in and try and cause disruption or say inappropriate things. I think we had that happen even today with something that was said that probably shouldn't be said to a streamer. And they are the ones who take care of that so that I can just stay in the zone and not feel uncomfortable by anything. And they'll also, like, if any commands, or like if somebody's like, what's your Instagram? They're the ones who are able to pull that up for me, so that people can find those things. And then they also just contribute to my community so much. I think there was a stream a couple weeks ago where most of my mods weren't able to make it, and it was just the way that it worked out with time, like with scheduling. And I remember being like, we had a good stream. But I just remember being, this is so different. Like I'm so used to my mods, and I trust them and I love them so much. And I was like, this is different. They're a huge staple part of a stream. I think that they make everyone's stream, like, if you have good mods, it's going to be that much better.
How do you, I guess, how do mods and streamers like meet each other? Is there just like a looking for mods like website, or is it just they come into the stream and like love and reach out to you, or do you reach out to them? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, also I saw Clutch just said we also troll her. It's part of the job. And it is, they do all the time, but I troll them right back. So
I love it's like they get exclusive troll rights. Like,
absolutely.
No one else can troll but us.
No, and so I think for most of them, my mom was actually a mod for a while, and I think she still has the title, but she doesn't like use it much anymore because we have such great mods. So unless she's needed, she really likes to just sit. And also as a mom, she's there for everything in life. So I think sometimes it's nice when she can just like not have to work and she can actually just watch me. But it kind of just happened.
I retired.
She did. She retired.
I love it.
We met Oversight Mod, which was a person who just ended up in my chat from a raid and reached out and was like, hey, like, I saw that you don't have any mods. Because I don't think my mom really knew anything. We didn't have any commands. We just, like, you didn't really even see that I had a mod. And was like, hey, like, I just saw that you don't really have anything. And I think you're really talented. Can I help? And so we were like, yeah, what do we even need to do? And so through that, I met Young Sub 3, Subby. You guys know Jack. I love Subby. Subby was my first mod, other than OS and my mom. And so now, if you guys know Subby, Subby is also a streamer, and he is incredible, and he is growing so quickly on here, and I'm so proud of him.
Is Subby Jack?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
awesome.
His name, what? Not the Jack here. This is
Oh,
a
okay.
different Jack.
Different Jack. Got it.
Yes, Young Sub 3 is his username. I love Subby so much. We love Jack. Yes, 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 yes. I call him Subby. People call him Jack. Both things. But and then through there, it kind of just we knew that it was normal to have more than just like 2 mods, and we had people who were consistently in my stream and were already kind of welcoming other people in and just were contributing so much to the community already, and they were like so funny and just kept the energy up in the room. And so after a while we kind of like would scope them out and be like, they seem nice, do you think they'd want to do that for me? Like, do you think they'd want to like hang out with me all the time? And so
you're
we
like
would send them a
recruiting,
message.
you're recruiting digital best friends.
Yes, basically. I mean, quite literally. And so we would be like, do we just like message them and ask if they'd want to? And so that's exactly what we did. We were like, hey, like we think you're already like a huge part of the community and you're already like hanging out with us all the time. I would love to have you be a part of like my team. I trust you, and like, you know, all those things. My mom said the standouts. Yes, yes, yes. And so that's kind of just how it worked for us. I don't know how most people get mods, but that's
You guys
how
are like a superhero group. You're like, should we
They really are.
let them into the Avengers or something like?
Basically, my mom and I have talked about it, and we got so lucky with the people that we have had no issues with our mods. They quite literally are just there to support and to make the stream run smoothly, and also just be a part of it. Like, they're a mod, but they're also part of the community. Like, if they didn't have that sword, I know they'd still be there, because I just like appreciate them so much.
That's amazing. And
Oh,
then I guess going to shout out to all of the mods and everything that you do. Thank you for doing that. You guys definitely every time I go in, you make me feel welcome. So I can tell you firsthand that I appreciate what you guys are doing for CHAISLYN and the community. How do you go about curating your streams? Like, because you seem to have this, like, I love that you like kind of theme the backgrounds. You had the like toilet paper Christmas tree, and then it's like you clearly put a lot of thought into that. And then and I haven't made every single stream, so are all of your streams relatively like, are they built largely around song requests, or do you have other themed sort of streams?
They definitely are themed around song requests. I mean, like, we've done different streams. Like, I've had like the Hamilton stream, which everyone knows we called it Chamilton. I did the entirety of the musical front song, back song, like the whole thing. We've done Taylor Tuesday, which is where I sang all Taylor songs because I am such a huge Taylor Swift fan. I don't know if we've had any other themed. We had like the spooky streams, which were like around Halloween. But other than that, really, I love that our stream is very go with the flow, however it happens. There's no like real rules. We have the song request list. I also go rogue a lot, where I'll just be like, oh, do you guys remember that song? And then like I find the chords, and I know that I was like, they've got to be so sick of me. I'll be like 3 songs deep, and then I'll be like, oh wait, sorry, there's a song list I'm supposed to be singing. Sorry, like I should get back to that. But no, and then like the background really is just kind of my mom and I. My mom is because my mom's a photographer, she has such an eye for things, and so she definitely like these fun little, like, I don't even know what you call these, streamers. I don't know.
Is it like a garland streamer or something?
Oh, a little bit. Like, they're all connected at the top, and we just kind of like draped them, and then we just played around with, like, I have ring lights and I put like colors on them.
I like the pink and blue, the subtlety towards like shades of pink,
and then I put the hearts up whenever the song came out. But yeah, we just kind of play around with it. And again, like we said, we like changing things up. And so you'll see, and they know that the channel points change week from week, or certain graphics are changing, or if I move, the background changes. Like last semester, I had a different one. I had a different one at home before I moved to campus. I had a different one over the break, and now I have this. Like, it'll change when I go home again, I'm sure. But just because we think it's, people get bored.
As long as Flo behaves in her corner.
She better. She really was, she used to give us so much trouble. She's matured a lot, I think. I think she's taking a nap. I don't know. She's kind of like leaned backwards at the moment. She's fine.
I mean, this is going to be 5 hours for her at some point, like close to the end of the stream,
Yeah, she's
over it. She's like, it can't all
out.
be about you. It's got to be about my beauty sleep.
Right.
How else is she going to keep that hair up?
Amen.
But so for any artists, songwriters, producers who might be interested in streaming, a lot of the things that I've heard from them are like, well, that seems too hard, or like, well, I like Instagram Live or TikTok Live or like what any of those. What sort of case would you make for Twitch to somebody who is either considering it or is sort of like maybe choosing another platform over it, as somebody who did once try using another platform and then experienced Twitch?
Yeah, I think Twitch is amazing. And
I don't work, neither of us technically work for Twitch.
I don't speak for the brand or the company. Yeah. I speak on behalf of myself. But no, I'll be honest, I was skeptical at first too. I told you guys that. But what I found here is unlike anything I've found anywhere else. I think the only thing that was even slightly similar was TikTok when I would go live on there. But I think what's really cool about the community that we've created here is it's encompassing the music. Like it is about, like, cause my Instagram, and like if I were to go live on there, like, yeah, it's people who care about like my music, but the majority of it are like my classmates, my sorority sisters, my friends from back home, people I've met through church, people I've met through theater, people who just know me in passing, and it's not as intentional. I think like people open up Instagram not to go watch someone be live. They open up to post or to scroll or to look for memes. I do that all the time. I love memes. I think they're really funny. But on Twitch, if you go on Twitch, you're going to be a part of a community. You're going to watch someone. You're going to hear something or watch a game, and you all have a common interest. Like if you're in a music stream, you're there for the music. If you're in a gaming stream, you're there because you think the game's interesting. And you're not going to find that anywhere else. And that's been like one thing, is just having such a stable, solid group of people who I always have a good time with is something that I don't think I've ever found on another platform.
I couldn't agree more, honestly. As like somebody, like I have a different sort of set of programming, so to speak, I guess, on my channel, but it's like, right. I used to go to shows all the time, and that was like where my community was, and getting to like talk to people in person. And when that went away, I like being alone. So for a while I was kind of fine with it, but then that sort of urge to like be part of community, like Twitch was one of those things where I feel like we're sort of like gushing over Twitch, and Twitch is in the background being like, stop it. You know, and I feel like that's so true. But the thing that I find even more interesting is that the people who find success on the platform, but still kind of treat it almost like a Band-Aid. Like they're like, yeah, I do this and I have fun, but like as soon as touring comes back, I'm out, which I think is so sort of like, I think that's I don't like. Do you believe that it's got to be one or the other, or I feel like they could work in harmony, right?
I think so.
So how does it play a role in your life going forward, like once things do open back up and there are more like in-person opportunities?
Yeah, I will stream forever. That's a very, maybe not, I don't know. I will stream as long as I can. I performed live before this, before COVID. I was performing weekly, if not multiple times a week, in Nashville and at events and everywhere. And I will say that I've met some amazing people doing that, but this is different. Like if I were, also everyone here lives somewhere different. And like I get to meet people from all over the world here, whereas like if I go somewhere else, well, they can't all come. Like, this connects us in a way that's a little bit different. But I would do some live shows again. I don't see why you can't do both.
And
I think
do you think maybe just the content will change? Like maybe you'll bring the stream or like have some kind of mobile setup that can go into like when you do go co-writing, and there's certain ones that it makes sense for you to have that be part of it, or like do you think it's just like you'll keep that separate and you just will always just make time for this?
You mean like live stream a co-write?
Well, like live streaming a co-write, or live streaming like something that would make sense, like that you could you could bring the same kind of quality that you've been able to bring, but applying it in a different sense.
I think a co-write could be cool to stream. As far as streaming a live show, because we've considered it when I've done a couple of live shows. I think the hard thing, and like I mentioned earlier, what's so cool about Twitch is that it's so interactive. And like I said, like if I wanted to just listen to someone sing song after song after song without like taking into like account that there are people here watching them, or like all of us here like commenting things in the chat, like if they're, you know, I mean there are Spotify playlists, but I love Twitch because I get to know the person. And I think whenever I perform live, I think maybe recording them, putting them on YouTube, I don't know if I would stream them. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I also couldn't tell you when live shows are coming back. So I'm not really, I like to take things one step at a time for the most part. But no, I don't know if I would ever stop streaming. Like, I think I will always do this in addition, because I also just like the atmosphere of it. Like, I like being able to just sit in the room and like chill and talk about stupid things. I talked about mayonnaise for like 30 minutes on my stream not long ago. Like forever. I talked about yogurt for a long time too. I really don't know what I was doing.
I think I remember the yogurt one.
I wanted yogurt.
I think I walked in and I was like, what is happening right now? It was like a whole yogurt situation going on.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the other thing that I love about it, is like even the things that you feel like you kind of know what to expect, there's always like some unexpected thing that happens, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I made an emote to commemorate. That's awesome.
We do. We have a mayonnaise emote, which is something.
You gotta love it. So make sure if you guys go over to CHAISLYN's Twitch that you guys subscribe so you can get a hold of those. I don't know at what tier they're at, but whatever tier it is, it'll be worth it because it's mayonnaise.
I think they're better Twitch TV. Is it BTTV? So I think everyone has access to them.
Oh, dope. Well, there you go.
I'm not sure, but no, and I think Jack just said that as a listener, it's easier to listen to new talent than like going to a live venue because it's loud in venues and people are talking. I think that as well. It's a lot more focused on the artist than live events. But also, I love that like not only do I have a relationship with the people that are watching, but they all have a relationship with each other. Like they know like who they are, and in Discord they talk about their days and their life. So like not only are they friends with me. And I say friends. I don't like the word fan. We're friends. We're family. But they also are like friends with each other. And when you're going to live shows, you don't really have that community as well. Like it's just like you sit and you watch the singer talk.
It's a shared interest, but you can't necessarily all talk to each other at once. Otherwise, it would be chaos and probably rude.
Yeah. Which, and I have nothing against live performances. I can't wait for them to come back. I absolutely love it. I just think it's different. So I don't think it can be one or the other.
I love that. And it's funny, we had done a conversation on Clubhouse that was all around, that had everything to do with what you were just talking about, where pretty much I was like the only person on this panel of like a bunch of business professionals that like saw that live streaming like had like this really cool thing, and they all kind of see it as like, yeah, it's like a thing, but like we're gonna go back to live stuff. I was like, you're making a mistake to just not pay attention to it. But
they don't see the value in it, or there's a lot of people that don't. And I think that's one thing that like I've kind of wondered is I know lots of performers who just like me were put out of work. Like, you know, there was suddenly nothing we could do, and some of them I've seen, like, I mean, I know my mom and I immediately were like, how do we keep going? But then other people, I'm like, they're working their butts off and they're doing as much as they can while stuck in their houses. But other people like are just, I don't want to be like rude, but they're sitting around waiting for it to open back up.
Hoya Jack wants us to virtually high five, by the way, which I think like goes like,
how do we do that?
I think you go, which like my hand's going that way. So
hold on, wait.
Oh yeah, and you're gonna go. Yeah, that's the right way. And then
it is.
Yeah, but like, I can't see your hand. Yep, ready and
wait.
There you go.
Do I just do it?
No, like
wait.
Because it's like it's shorter on the thing. So just
I'm opening up Zoom. Sorry, I had it open to Twitch, so I was like looking at the wrong thing. Oh, also, I can fix this. Hold on. My camera is mirrored on Zoom for me, but it's not mirrored on Twitch. So I would be doing it the wrong way. No one knows what I'm talking about. I hate having my camera.
Oh, I remember you do your evil twin.
Yeah. Okay, ready?
You gotta back up a little bit though.
Okay, sorry.
Ready? And go.
Oh, that was so good. We did it.
We did it. Somebody clip it, please.
That was so stressful.
No, I'll get a hold of it. Don't mirror, like, people are like literally freaking out over there. So there you go, Hoya Jack.
Yeah, it's unmirrored right now.
And then I'm looking at, it's in real life, it's rude to talk during a show, but it's cool on stream. I love that.
Right. Oh, I love talking to you guys during a stream.
Pio said that they're anti-mayo and they are hot sauce for the win or ketchup. So
I love hot sauce and ketchup, but also mayonnaise. Why do people not like mayonnaise? It's so good.
Well, before this turns into a mayonnaise stream and we have to add another emote, I did want to talk and like sort of like wrap this amazing conversation that I'm very thankful that you were willing to do, because you're probably like, who is this person? What's Hell Yes and everything. So it's really cool. And I think it speaks a lot to just like your openness as a person to like even like consider coming on here. So my next question for you is, having just started college and I love that you thank your audience for like helping you through that process too. I think that's really cool, your friends. What are you hoping to get out of the school experience besides literally just going to college? Like, what are the things, or like, have you thought about it yet, or is it still like so like new that you're like still figuring out what you want out of it?
It's so new. I didn't apply because I took a year off after high school. So I didn't just like immediately go to college. I took a year and I was writing and performing and traveling and then when it got to the end of June 2020, we kind of realized like, hey, things are not going back to normal like we thought they would. And so it was like sit at home for another year and not be able to perform or do something productive with this next year, because we knew nothing was going to be back to normal for another year at least. And so I applied at the end of June, got accepted. And then I had to appeal because I had missed every scholarship deadline, and like college is expensive and we cannot afford that. So I wrote an appeal letter, sent it in, and on July 13th, I got a letter in the mail that told me that I had been awarded the full academic scholarship. Thank God, which does not cover everything, but it covered a huge chunk for us. And so moving day was 3 weeks away. And like, I had nothing. I had not auditioned to be a music major and I had missed the auditions, but thank God they let me. I had not applied for housing. So I applied and got stuck in like a random room that they had left open. And I ended up here as a classical music major, which is very confusing because like you guys heard me sing that song like 20 minutes ago, didn't you? Like, I'm now singing classical opera in German and in Spanish and in Italian, and I'm singing in a choir and I'm taking music theory and ear training, and like, it's a whole different world. And it's a little confusing because am I really going to use the things that I'm learning? To an extent, yes, but a lot of what I'm learning right now, and I'm so glad I'm learning it. I'm so glad, because I think a lot like having proper technique, like I think you have to know the rules to break them. And so I think knowing how to write music properly is going to really work out well for me when it comes to songwriting, because then I know like, okay, maybe like this chord would work better. Like I couldn't even tell you half the time what key I'm in. Like now I'm learning what that means. Like I literally didn't know. And I'm improving so much vocally. I have a really awesome vocal professor this semester who I'm super excited to be working with. But it's a little confusing, and I've considered transferring. I've had a professor here tell me like, you don't belong here. Like as much as we love having you and as talented as you are, this isn't the program that's necessarily tailored for you. But I also think it's good because it's taking me outside of my comfort zone. So kind of like right now I'm focusing on getting good grades, trying to get good grades. School's hard. And just seeing what doors open and what path the Lord, takes me down. Because even right now, like I'm still streaming in school, and like I'm still being emailed about opportunities and things that could, change my direction in 2 seconds. And so I'm trying not to plan too much, because half the time I make a plan, it's suddenly not feasible anymore because something's changed. And especially with COVID, it's like right now I really am just like school comes first and then streaming comes at like a second first. Like they're both on the same level, but also like I obviously have to make good grades, so it comes a little bit more first. And then outside of that, like I'm writing if I have spare time. I wish I wrote more during the semester than I have been. It gets really hard. I'm also in a sorority. Like, do I know what my long-term goal is? Not really. Because every time I have one, it changes. I do know I want to write. I know that I don't think I could live without writing. And so I'm right now. My goal is graduation. Like my goal is get a degree. Maybe transfer. I would love to go to Belmont, but that is so expensive, and I could not afford that. So I don't really know how I would make that one possible. But yeah, just learning and growing. I am such a believer that you never stop growing. You never know everything. And if people think they know everything or they think they're too good for something, then like, why are they even doing it anymore? You know, what's the point of doing something if you can't learn more about it? And so that's why I'm here. Like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to use all of the theory that I'm learning right now, but like, at least I could know it. Like, why wouldn't I want to know it? It's cool. I didn't know music worked like that. You know, so I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. It's just like, I want to give my all in everything I do. So I know what I'm doing right now and I'm going to give my all.
Well, I couldn't think of kind of like a better place to sort of like leave the conversation. I'm so excited personally to see what you're going to end up doing. I know from not only the quality of your voice, but the quality of just like you as a person and the way that you treat your community and people, you're going to win at whatever you end up doing. And I'm super excited to keep tuning into the streams. And anytime you're coming to Nashville, let me know. I'm happy to connect you with any writers, producers, people that like you remind me a lot of like Emily Weisband and Lori McKenna and people like that. And there's some of the like greatest songwriters in my opinion in town. But for now, before we say goodbye to each other, would you be cool with helping me find somebody to raid?
Yeah.
You guys want to help do that?
Yeah. Who's on right now? I haven't even looked.
Let me know.
Let's see.
Somebody in the community can also submit some ideas if you guys have somebody in mind. Yeah, let me put it into screen capture. There we go. Cool. So everybody can see what I'm looking at as we're like picking.
Oh, hey.
Oh boy, so many on.
You know who's on? Colin's on. We have so many friends. Who else? Gibson's on. We hung out with Gibson a little bit earlier today.
Have you met Amelia Rose yet?
Yes.
I think she's pretty new to streaming, I think, but
I follow her. I see her right now, but I haven't really been able to hang out in her stream. Do you know her? I'd be down for that.
I do. We've rated her pretty recently, so I'd be happy to like learn about somebody new that you guys are excited about. If you don't have somebody like to think of, then I'm happy to go over to Amelia's. But I'm just looking.
Amelia, I'm seeing people say Amelia sounds fantastic. Well, I'd like to hang out with her. I haven't gotten to.
Okay, well, let's do it, guys. Let's go and say hello to Amelia. And for everybody who's been here the entire time, thank you so much for being here. For anybody who like popped in, popped out, popped back in, popped out, whatever it is, like just thank you for being here, for not only supporting Hell Yes, but more importantly, CHAISLYN, and for supporting community, because that is entirely what the stream is about. So it's kind of like like when we rated you, we were all like, she would be a perfect guest for this. So like just know that our community loves you too. Matt actually I think followed you like immediately after we like rated your channel the first time. So
well, thank you for having me on this. I'm honored that you guys allowed me to be here and to talk to you. You're super awesome. I can't wait to come watch more interviews in the future when I'm not in class. As long as I'm not in class, you bet.
There you go. You really got to put that out there. Don't worry, Lori, she's going to study.
Yes, I promise, Mom. I'm in the library so much.
She's in the library right now. They're like, shh, in the background. Just the
right, yeah. No, they're all just, they've got their headphones and they can't hear me. But no, I just want to say a huge thank you so much for letting me be here with you guys. I really, really, really appreciate it. I have a quiz to take that's due at midnight though, so I will be doing that after we race.
Oh man, well, good luck on the quiz. Everybody, just have CHAISLYN send you the questions, and then like just get all the answers like through the community.
You wanna help me? Please help me.
Just do
I'm kidding.
An entire stream should just be about doing the test.
Academic integrity, baby. We don't cheat.
Integrity, y'all. All right, have a great weekend, CHAISLYN. Thank you again for being here. Go crazy in the chat for Amelia, guys. Say hello. Drop donuts. Drop whatever emotes you want. Love you guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.